back to the YouTube channel Panthers Vidz, and this is the Ankle Break Podcast, episode 74 tonight. And tonight, it's a special show, but also a very sad one because we are announcing a departure on the podcast, but as well as it being the last show of the year. So I know I said last week that this would be the second last show of the year, then the week after would be the last show of 2023. But we'll finish up at episode 74 tonight. Just thought ending earlier was the better thing to do, and then plan for next year, obviously. But before we get into what's happening and what's the real announcements and all that sort of stuff, we'll talk about a few things as always. But I've got All Out Champa here with me tonight, and for our last show of the year, how are you feeling? And yeah, we've got something to talk about soon on your behalf.
Yeah, well, look, the last show of the year, mate, it's been a full-on year. The podcast, I reckon we've made this probably the number one podcast on YouTube. I know there's so many other podcasts, but we put in dedication. We get the whole community into for a great year. Thank you, a big thank you to all of the special guests who took time out of their days to join us for an hour or however long it's been. Thank you all for jumping on the Ankle Breaker podcast and being a part of this. And most importantly, thank you to everyone, all the viewers out there, all the audience, because you guys are the ones that grow this podcast. You're the ones that put us out there in the world and grow our popularity. So if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be where we are right now. And the podcast has been such a big journey. And something I'm going to remember a lot. And yeah, thank you, Panthers, for letting me be a part of this. It's truly been an honor.
Yeah, well, Champa, look, I've got to say that you've been a great addition to the podcast this year. We've had a few people on the show, like a few hosts and stuff in the past, but I think you're definitely one of the best I've ever had. So, it's been a good year with you and everything like that. So I guess it's onwards and upwards from here with the show. So, Champa, it's been a pleasure, bro. It really has been, actually. But look, obviously, before we get into the preview and everything like that, Champa, I think it's time to announce what the real announcement is. And I know it's tough. I know it's big because you've got another sort of little touch to it all when it comes down to YouTube. But Champa, take it away. What's happening with your YouTube career and what's the go?
Well, if you guys have seen the announcement, I am departing from the Ankle Breaker podcast. But real reason why I'm departing, the big reason is I've decided to officially retire from YouTubing. Look, the 4 years that I've done YouTube, I may have not reached the heights as Pro Enzo or many other YouTubers have, but it's been a journey that I'm going to remember. Now, as I'm getting older in my life, I've got careers and I've got many things that I have to achieve that I not only want to achieve, but need to put time for. And a full-time YouTube career just isn't just going to mix well with everything, especially within my busy life. But I'm going to get emotional right now. Jeez.
Oh, I know.
I remember all the way at the start, I made my first breakout video, and it was about a notorious troll within the rugby league community. A notorious troll, name won't be mentioned, but I think we all know who we're talking about. A notorious troll. And once I posted that video, I didn't expect the whole community to come behind me and to welcome me with open arms. And obviously, I'm going to post one final video on my channel saying thank you to everyone. But Enzo, you've been one of the biggest parts of me growing as a YouTuber, and I just want to say thank you. And of course, to all the other boys out there, Nick from Australia, CJ Moxley, Sam Revel, Paddy G, Hainsey, Warriors NRL fanatics. I can go on for days, and I'm going to say thank you to everyone in a later video. But to all the viewers out there, to all my fans, I just want to say thank you for making my short but amazing YouTube career memorable. And I'm not gone forever. if Poenzo or if anyone else needs me as a special guest, I will always find a way to jump on.
Yep.
But the time is right to retire full time from YouTubing. But I just say a big thank you. This journey has just been, oh man,
Champa, shit, fuck.
This journey has just been truly amazing, and I'm so blessed. I am All Out Champa forever. And to the All Out section, this is forever. All Out forever. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for just thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Look, Champa, well, it's hard to let you go because of your contribution to the podcast this year, what you've done for the channel, and not only for what you've done for the podcast this year, being a great co-host, but for what you've done on YouTube for your channel and how I've watched you since 2021 or 2020, from wherever it was when you first started knowing us boys and started growing your channel alongside us. I think from the get-go, we saw the potential you had. And obviously, you've grown to a great father. We'll say that for sure. You're a great bloke, obviously. And obviously, you're a brother for life. And anytime you want to come back on one of my channel or one of our channels or my channel especially, let me know, because I think you're more than welcome to anyone. And anyone would welcome you in open arms. And look, bro, I respect your decision because I know that your life is pretty busy and I know it's going to get better from here. And I'm keen to see how everything does go in the near future for you, bro. So thanks for everything, obviously. Thank you for everything. And I'm sure the subscribers and everyone that watches the channel would be greatly appreciated by what you've done for the podcast this year, especially. I know it's been 1 year, but it's been a big year, and your consistency of being on the podcast nearly every episode has been fantastic and won't be forgotten. So thanks for that, Champa. And bro, you've been awesome. I'm sure the viewers would agree. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been true. It's been a true honor.
So there was a tribute video I had for you, Champa, like a podcast tribute video coming up. Now it's a little bit of a delay because there's something not right with how everything can play on this stream. I can get it ready soon, hopefully. I'm just trying to work it out now for the laptop, but once it's done, I guess we will play it because it is special.
I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that so much, mate. Thank you so much.
Goes for a minute, but no, it should be good though. It should be good. All right, look, for now, I guess we'll go through who's in the comments and who's checking the stream tonight. So, got SS Storm fan, Jason Reader. We've got Viking Axe, CJ Moxley, Luke Melton Storm fan, and Nick from Australia too, and just SS Storm fan, Jason Reader, and the same again. So far so good with the crowd, good viewers tonight for the last show of the year. Hopefully more do roll in soon and stuff like that. But yeah, look, I guess the real thing I should say here is that consistently I've seen these people tune in every night, 7 p.m. Monday. I know Monday can be a busy time for people, but I still see these names in the live stream every night. Guys like SS Storm fan, Jason Reader, and all these guys, they're always very consistent. Luke Melton Storm fan, CJ, Nick, like everyone tunes in when they can. And it's greatly appreciated. So love the consistency. And I love everyone that does, watch the channel. And it's awesome. It's awesome to feel special like that. And the podcast will get better. It's going to get better, and I can nearly guarantee that for sure. So please stay tuned for more exciting things to come. All right. Well, look, I guess for now we will start with what we normally do, and that's our, week it was, to give our thoughts for the preliminary finals of the week. It's going to change up to week 3 instead of week 2. There we go. So, yeah, look, Champa, is obviously your last time reviewing a round of footy or week of footy, and it's the preliminary finals, and this week decided who plays in the grand final this Sunday. We had the Storm taking on the Panthers, the game I was at, where the Panthers won 30-4, an easy win by the Penrith Panthers, off to their 4th grand final now. And then with the Broncos and Warriors game, well, the Warriors started well, but then the Broncos just caught up and did what they did best all years, just relentless attack and great defense, and that won the game in the end. But Champa, what's your thoughts on how the preliminary finals worked out? Like, what did you think of both games? Did you enjoy them, or did you think one was disappointing, one was better? Like, what was your general thoughts on it?
I think what we saw from the two finals games is how much of a gap there is between Penrith and Brisbane and the rest of the competition. I mean, the best we could throw at those teams was the Warriors and the Storm, and they were hammered in their individual games, truly hammered. I mean, I think the Storm one surprised me. That being because Storm, they're always a team where, they may not be finishing first or second, and they may have a bit of a mid-season, but when it comes final series, you'd always back them for like just turning up unexpectedly, and they came up to Penrith and they were just blown out of the park. They had nothing to answer for Penrith. It was a sheer dominance by Cleary, and I can name everyone in that side. Just they did their part, and it's what you expect from a team like that, from a Penrith performance where everyone's just fitting well. And then we look at the Brisbane Warriors games, the Brisbane Warriors game. Two teams who both teams don't have a lot of finals experience, but have two very surprising seasons this year. But Brisbane, oh man, they're just again too good for the Warriors. The Warriors they put in a great sort of effort at the start. Then a questionable pass, sort of. I reckon that sort of dictated the game or dictated the pace of the game. After that, the Warriors really just dropped off, and it was just a Brisbane onslaught. So this weekend is looking to be probably one of the most anticipated grand finals we've seen in a long time, because Brisbane and Penrith, man, they have dominated this year, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these two teams match up. They both have a win each throughout the regular season. The Brisbane, the Broncos were Penrith's first lost round one at the start of the season, so it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams match up. But in terms of the finals week 3, look, I thought it was a fantastic display from Penrith and Brisbane. Truly, just they were just both one-sided games, and sometimes it's great to see just an individual performance.
No, 100%, 100. I think. Look, I guess you don't want to see blowouts in finals games, especially a prelim final too, because we saw obviously Storm get smashed like they did in week 1, and that's a concern I think for the Storm. So we will talk about the Storm later tonight too in the topics, but just in terms of I guess how the prelims worked out. Now look, I think Penrith are just proving why they're the best team in the comp. Pretty much, they're pretty much a distance or more than a distance from everyone else. Their fitness is crazy. Their attack defense is nearly top notch. And Melbourne got exposed at a call on Friday night. And obviously Storm have been lucky. I feel like this year a bit lucky in terms of getting this far, as they've been inconsistent all year. But look, credit where it's due for the Panthers. They're playing great footy, and you can't deny how good they are at the moment. I think it's going to be very hard for the Broncos to get in the wrestle with them, but the Broncos are capable, and that's why I'm looking forward to that grand final as well as you are. And obviously with the Warriors-Broncos game, while half of Australia and probably half the world was on the Wires train, everyone's backing them to win and wanting the Warriors to win this to get to the grand final. I'm sure everyone nearly was. Broncos were too good, and I think that was the obvious answer the whole time, Broncos to win, because week off, playing at Suncorp in front of a sold-out crowd. But credit to the Warriors fans for travelling, though. There was like half the stadium was filled with Warriors fans, you'd think. So, that's a huge dedication by the Warriors fans there. But I think with Broncos, they lost this, it'd be embarrassing, and they claim it's chokers again. But I couldn't see them choking this. I think this year's the year they had to be in the grand final on the big dance and the biggest moment of the year, and that they showed why they're just too good. But yeah, look, I think it was a pretty obvious grand final the whole time, Broncos Panthers. But in terms of how the finals worked out for week 3, it's disappointing how it's been blowouts. Do you agree, Champa? Like, even though there was blowouts like last week with the week preliminary finals, but there's been blowouts across the whole sort of final series. Is this disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see where a lot of people would be disappointed because we really expected more from the Storm and the Warriors. Because, like I said, Storm is always a team where, even when it comes to finals, even after a very mid-season they could have, they'd always turn up in finals. And for the Warriors, well, that they were the surprise team this year, and obviously everyone they had the heart and soul of all NRL fans backing them. And unfortunately, they didn't deliver. But again, look, Brisbane and Penrith, they both had a purpose, and that was to make a statement. And the statement was that they are going to win the grand final. So again, this grand final coming up, it's looking to be one of the most anticipated grand finals in recent memory.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it should be a good grand final. It should be good, and I do agree. I think it's disappointing to see these blowouts happen because it gives me that 2021 vibe all over again. But but yeah, no, look, it should be a good grand final. I mean, based on what we've seen this year when the Broncos and Panthers have played, it's been games and been tight, and the margin between both sides has been no more than 10 points. So yeah, that says something. So I'm looking forward to that grand final now a lot. But as for our, I guess, week 3 player of the week, there's a few options out there, not many, because there's 4 teams remaining, obviously, and 2 now gone. But Champa, if you were to pick one player that was your player of the week for week 3 of finals, who would it be in your opinion?
Oh man, there's so much to choose from. Tuniva had a really good game. That was going on try. So I'm going to go Reece Walsh. I guess. He's the obvious choice. Obviously, he's been the main reason for Brisbane's success for the whole season, and he played a big role in the Brisbane Warriors match. He's without a doubt the best fullback in the game right now, in my opinion. He is the best fullback, and it's going to be really exciting to see him in the grand final. But yeah, Reece Walsh is my player of the week.
No, fair call. I think a player that would be top 3 for this week. Look, I'm trying to think of something different here because I guess you went with Walsh, but it's hard to go past Walsh. Honestly, I think he is the player of the preliminary finals. I think with the way he played, it's hard to deny how good he was. And he was a big part of the reason why they beat the Warriors on Saturday, I thought. He makes line breaks, scores tries, and I said for the Warriors, in order for the Warriors to stop the Broncos, they have to stop Reece Walsh and his impact, but they failed to do that. And that's why Walsh had the game he's had on Sunday. And look, while Penrith will be a different challenge for Walsh, I do think he's playing with a lot of confidence. And when he's confident, he's a fantastic player. And that's what he probably thrives off, confidence. So, look, I agree. I think he's my player of the week as well, Reece Walsh. It's really hard to go past him. So I agree with you on that one. But look, still trying to get that video up, but we'll do it after. I guess all the topics should be good by then. But in the comments, everyone's saying Reece Walsh as well. Reece Walsh for player of the week. SS Storm fan says my prediction: Panthers 20, Broncos 26. Wow, so you're going Broncos in the premiership? Yeah, wow, fair enough. Will Pearson says Panthers 35, Broncos 12. Well, really? Far out.
Look, I don't think it's going to be high scoring, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout between, any team. I think this is going to be a very, very tight grand final. These two teams love their defense. They're one of the best defensive teams in the competition. So, defense is definitely going to be probably the thing that wins the game.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. I think based on the best this year's been built on defense. So that's where it has to probably win the game, I reckon, through the defense. And lastly, Viking Axe predicts that Panthers 28 and Broncos 35. That's an unusual score line. Very high scoring game, you reckon? No defense at all.
Everyone's really tipping a high scoring game. I really think the complete opposite.
Yeah, already 235s. That's crazy. You don't often see that. in a rugby league match. But anyway, well, I guess we'll see what happens. It should be well, it should be a great grand final when I'm going to be there, so I'm looking forward to it. But all right, we will get into our topics now, the 5 topics of the show. So look, I think we'll start off with the grand final. I guess that's the biggest thing of the week coming up. So we'll talk about that. Basically, it's a mini preview, but it's only you that will give your tip. So I'm not going to give my tip because I'm making my tipping video tomorrow. But Champa, you'll be making your tip here and your prediction and man of the match, first try score or whatever. But yeah, it's a very small preview, this one, very tiny one. So look, all we have to do is really give our, our player to watch for this game, our, I guess, key matchup and pretty much our prediction. So, well, your prediction, not mine, but instead of my prediction I'll say that's for tomorrow, I'll just go with, I guess, the player that will influence his teams to win the most from both sides. So, Champa, for this game, what's your player to look out for this one?
My player to look out for in this game, it's going to be Stephen Crichton. He's been probably one of the best centers in the competition right now. He's explosive in attack. His defense is very solid, and when you give him distance, it's basically a try from there because he's got speed. He's even got a lot of strength to break and bust through tackles. He's got he's even got Tunavar To'o on his outside where he can get the ball out to. Even Dylan Edwards, just shooting through the middle, can pop the ball out to him. Stephen Crichton is probably one of the most versatile centers in the competition right now, and that's one thing that Brisbane have to make sure that they contain is the explosiveness of Stephen Crichton, because when he gets going, he's almost unstoppable. So that's my player to watch.
Yeah, that's a good choice because Critter's a big game player, and I think we've seen that plenty of times in his career how important it is that Panthers side. So good choice. As for me, look, I'm going to say probably Dylan Edwards, I reckon, because he's the most consistent fullback that I've seen for a long time, and his work rate is unbelievable. Like I don't think there's ever a game where he slacks off and doesn't do a job, because he always does, and I think that's where his credit for the Panthers side is due, I reckon. So fair play to Edwards for the great years he's had and the great other years he's had this year as well. But yeah, he's a consistent player, and I think in the grand final, at a big stage like this one, it's really him that's the big one, the big key player for this I guess, atmosphere and game. So if Panthers were to win, it'd be through him, I reckon. That'd be the key player. Obviously, as a kick in him, he has like a good passing game, and he makes meters as well. Like he seems to make great meters every time he runs the ball back from a kick. So it's part of his work rate, part of how good he is, and I think that's why he's my player to watch on the grand final day. So yeah, for sure. And Edwards, the pink bandit, as his Storm fan says. Onto our, I guess, key matchups. So basically, in positions like, for example, hooker versus hooker, or 5'8" versus the 5'8". But for you, Champa, in positions, what's your key matchup for this one?
This is a really interesting one because there's a lot of good key matchups. I'm going to go one that's very, well, not much people will point out, but I'm going to definitely point out this one. It's going to be Yo and Carrigan as my key matchup. These two locks, they have a sort of a similar game, somewhat a similar style of game. They're both ball running locks who love to put in a little step to break the line. But the one thing that these two locks are very, very consistent at is putting 110% in whatever they do. I mean, go look at Yo's runs in the Storm match. He was making meters after meters, carrying plays. Something that we haven't seen from Yo in a long time. He's usually known as the one to sort of move around a lot and not run straight forward. Hey, in that Storm match, he was running straight forward, carrying all these plays with him and carrying. Well, it's been a breakout year for Carrigan, hasn't it been? He's been one of the most consistent players for the Brisbane Broncos, and it's going to be it's been really interesting to see how these lock forwards match up, and could even see some hits pull off from either side. So that's my key matchup.
Yeah, no, for sure. Both are great linkmen, and both are fantastic locks as well. So I like that comparison and that sort of matchup there. It's a big one too, huge. But as for me, yeah, it's similar because it's forwards, but different positions though. So I'll go with James Fisher-Harris versus Payne Haas, the two number 10s there. I think that's a huge battle because I think for years everyone's been saying how good Payne Haas is. He's the best prop of the game. But then some people say that James Fisher-Harris is the best prop of the game too. So on the biggest stage of the grand final, I guess that indicates who is the best prop of the game. Is it Fisher-Harris or is it Payne Haas in this grand final? I think that can indicate a lot. Both of them are workhorses. Both of them bring so much impact to a side. We see how good Fisher-Harris is for the Panthers regularly. For years now, he's been a Kiwi representative. He's been playing for the Māori All-Stars too. And he's got it all. He's a fantastic player. And, versus Payne Haas is not an easy task, but it's something that JFH can, really take on his own hands, I think. And look, Haas is a freak. We know that. Haas is the man, and he'll get a daily in one day, maybe, for a front rower. I think he's probably the closest front rower to a daily in, if I'm being honest. But, look, he's obviously taking his game to a whole new level this year. I think whatever has happened this year, he's taking his confidence to a new height. And, despite what's happened early in the year, because remember he had that incident with his mum and his brother got in trouble for something as well, and that no doubt can affect you a lot. But for Payne Haas to still continue his consistent form for the Broncos and be as good as he's been right now, it's a real testament to himself, honestly. So that's why I'm looking forward to Haas versus Fisher-Harris. A huge battle and one that I cannot wait to see how it all goes. But on to our, if the Broncos win, who's your player of the match? And if Panthers win, who's your player of the match? So, Champa, if Broncos win, who would you pick? And if Penrith win, who is your pick?
Well, it's very interesting because for both teams, I've went with centers. For Penrith, I've obviously went with my key player to watch out for. That's Stephen Crichton. I've been a big fan of Critter for a long time, and I've backed him through a lot. I backed him through the Dud Origin series he had last year. I backed him through all the way this year. I said, you haven't seen the best out of Stephen Crichton, and we're seeing the best right now, and we're going to see even better come to the grand final. He's a freak player, but who I also think is a freak is his opposing centre for Brisbane. That's Tony Staggs. My man of the match did Brisbane win. Tony Staggs, again, very similar to Critter. He's powerful. He's fast. He can break the line whenever he wants. Staggs is another player who can throw up that Critter as one of the best centres in the game right now. Yeah. And again, it'll be very interesting to see how he comes out of. Very interesting to see how he attacks the Penrith backline. And yes, Staggs he's a top player for sure.
Yeah. No, good calls and good choices there, I think. Both players would, be the reason why I think they would win. If Penrith did win or Broncos did win for sure. Key players, no doubt. And as for me, look, if Penrith were to win, I'd say their man of the match would be Nathan Cleary because he's the halfback, and I mean he's proven before he's clutch in big moments. I know Origin is a bit iffy still, but in the NRL I think he's been great, and I think he's shown in the past how he leads the team to a finals match or a grand final, and I think Cleary for such a young age still he's doing that, and I think he'd be the player that I think would take Penrith to the promised land if they were to win, because I think that's where it comes off the back of him. And as for the Broncos, I think for them it'd have to be Reece Walsh, because you could go Reynolds. Adam Reynolds is definitely a clear choice as well, because of how he's been so good for the Broncos this year. But I think Walsh would be the reason why the Broncos could be the grand final and he'd be the man of the match. Just the impact and just the way he can break through a line, and I think he's a big game player. He's a big game player. When the game's tight, he can make a line break and sort of break the dreadlocks and whatever. And he's a player that I think will go great in an environment like the grand final, personally. But we'll see what happens, because a lot can happen in a grand final. But I think for Walsh, he'll kill it. I reckon. I think he will. But that's for me. Cleary and Walsh, they're the two players that I think will get man of the match if both sides had that win next to them, in my opinion. All right, on to topic number 2. And, if you're a Samoan fan, there's exciting news here, because there's new head coaches that have come from the Samoan international side. going forward. That is Ben Gardner, who's obviously the Penrith Panthers assistant coach, and I believe he spent some time at the Tigers too. And Jamie Sowell is the other coach too. So 2 coaches for the Samoa side, and plenty of experience in coaching and stuff, and plenty of I guess good knowledge there for sure. But yeah, no, look, Samoa obviously got rid of Matt Parrish. Don't know if he left in his own terms or they got rid of him. Can't remember, but there was an issue there. I think there was an issue. But Ben Gardner and Jamie Sowell, I think 2 good minds there that know the rugby league and could help Samoa a lot. Champa, what's your thoughts on this one? Are you a fan of these appointments?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these 2 signings, Ben Gardner and Jamie Soward. You know, these are players. These are former players that have wealth of knowledge. Jamie Soward, I'm pretty sure, is the NRLW coach for the Dragons. Is it?
Yeah.
The Dragons. That's right. Yeah. Look, they have coaching experience as well. Ben Gardner is an assistant coach at Penrith. They know what they're doing, and look, Samoa, they're a team that's on the rise. They're a nation that's definitely on the rise, who's going to be, big contenders to teams like New Zealand, Australia, England. They're going to be huge contenders coming up in the years. And having people like Gardner and Soward at the top, sort of giving their knowledge and experience to the younger players of Samoa, because you look at the Samoa lineup, they're a very young lineup, very young lineup. So having someone there to sort of humble them and to help them control their game, I think this is going to be great. So I'm a big fan of both Gardner and Soward being the coach for Samoa.
Yeah, 2 great appointments. I agree. I think Samoa need a new direction. I think they were due for one, and I think they need some new, ideas in there. And I think Ben Gardner and James Soward being 2 combined coaches, I think that's a good thing. I think that's actually a good thing. I think we could see more about it in the future. But yeah, Ben Gardner has obviously been around for a while. Worked at Tigers for a bit. Worked with the New Zealand team. I'm pretty sure the international team too. And he's the current assistant coach of the Penrith Panthers. So got experience, and I think he could be good for Samoa. I don't believe he's ever been a head coach before for something as big as this. I think he's been a New South Wales coach at best. I'm not too sure, but he's been coaching everywhere. Let's put it that way. And I think for Samoa, he'd be good there with all the talent that's pretty much for Samoa that they've got. A lot of gifted talent there. So he'll be good to sort of look at that and guess get his view on it. And as for Jamie Soward, we all know how good Soward was back in his career. But coaching, he's gotten better too. He's been good for the NRLW Dragons side. He's got a good mind of footy. He knows what he's talking about, and he's a good operator, I feel like. So, he'd be good for Samoa. I think this is a good idea and a great pattern for them. I think Joey Johns and Matthew Johns are very close as well to getting the Samoan role, but I don't think it worked out in the end. But I can see Gardner and Soward working really well. I can see it working really well, 2 coaches in the box there. Do you agree that we could see a bit more coaches that have, or 2 NRL coaches in the coaches box going forward, like this idea happening?
I think it's definitely something that's going to be very interesting to see other teams incorporate. Some teams probably would like to stick with the style coach, being that sort of the butting of heads, one opinion crossing with another opinion, so kind of avoiding that conflict. But look, if Gardner and Soward can work cohesively and together as a unit, then I'm all in for it.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it'll work. I guess that's true, the conflict of interest and those sort of things, but I'm sure they'll work it out. I'm sure they'll get an idea and work on it and go from there. But I see it working. I genuinely do. I really do, actually. All right, on to topic number 3 now, and this is one where it's a bit sad because he's been anticipated so many times to be a great signing and a great addition to the NRL, but he's failed, I guess. But not just all his fault, but injuries have definitely crept into his game too. That have made him, suffer a bit. But Luke Thompson's time in the NRL is set to be done. He's set to return to England with Wigan Warriors, who are a team over in the Super League on a 4-year deal. So that pretty much ends his career in the NRL, you think. Started at the Bulldogs in 2020 as a mid-season signing on the Dean pay, but one game after Dean pay and Luke Thompson worked together, he got sacked pay. He's had to work with Steve Georgalis, Trent Barrett, Cameron Serrato. He's had to work with many coaches actually. Mick Hyder too. So it has been the toughest. Well, it hasn't been the easiest road for Luke Thompson in the NRL. It's been a tough one, as a matter of fact. But now he's going back to England. Maybe he'll get some stability in his career. Who knows? But Champa, what's your thoughts on this one? Was it a real waste by Luke Thompson in the NRL, in your opinion?
Oh, I guess not all the blame can be on him. You can't really control injuries, but I guess it has been a pretty frustrating NRL career for Luke Thompson because he came with a lot of anticipation from England as being, he was, from what I was hearing back in the day, he was being touted as being as good as players like Jason Taumalolo, players like James Fisher-Harris, players like Jesse Bromwich. People saying that he was as good as him in England. I'm thinking, all right, well, if he's bringing that sort of talent down to the NRL, it's going to be interesting to see how he does it for the Bulldogs. And well, yeah, again, look, it's not entirely his fault. You can't really control injuries, but I guess it has been very confusing. Confusing and frustrating, because I reckon he would have been annoyed with the constant recycle of coaches and really with how the club, the direction it's going. Whether Luke Thompson didn't want to be a part of it or the Bulldogs just didn't see a future with Luke Thompson. Whatever it is, he's set to return back to England to play for the Wigan Warriors, back up at home. I think something like this is better for him, sort of to clear his head, return back at home, return to the Super League where he's beloved there. So I think it does end well for him, but we should have really seen more of Luke Thompson in the NRL. I don't think he'll ever come back, which it's kind of sad considering he's a player that could probably have done well in the NRL. But look, things just didn't work out for him, and I wish him all the best when he goes back to Wigan and when he goes back to England, because look, I still think that he's still a very, very talented player with a lot to prove and a lot of talent to give to the game. But yeah, it's just we really should have seen more of him, and that's what's disappointing.
Yeah, no, we should have. We should have. I think. Now he's 27, turning 28 next year or late this year, I think. So he's definitely got a short sort of career, to go. But we should have seen a lot more of Luke Thompson. He came from the team I support over in the Super League, St. Helens, and it pains me to see him go to a rival now, Wigan Warriors. But look, when he first came to the NRL, I think many people thought he'd be like another James Graham and Adrian Morley or Sam Burgess. I think that's the sort of hype he was getting, which is unfair, and I guess that's hard to deal with because not everyone's going to be like a James Graham or a Sam Burgess when it comes to the NRL from England, right? But for Thompson, he had talent and he proved that for the Bulldogs in some games at how good he was. He definitely wasn't all bad for them, but I guess the injuries really did not help, and I guess the homesickness during some years as well he had there, that also played a factor, I feel like, for him at the club. So yeah, it wasn't the best transition. Probably was it'd be something I think he regrets now. I'm not regretting coming to the NRL, but probably should have left earlier maybe because it hasn't really gone all too well for the last few years with him at the Bulldogs. But he's a player of talent, and I think if people were hating on him because of the way he ended his time at the Bulldogs and NRL, well, that's wrong because I think he's done a good job for the time he's had at the club and what he's been through the coaches and the change of environment the whole way. Because obviously the NRL is a better sport, not a better sport. Like I guess same sport, but just a better competition. It's a bit more bigger, I suppose. Not much in there, but NRL is better. So it's a tough transition. It is tough, but I think Thompson sometimes did handle it pretty well and sometimes didn't. But not all players are going to be like that from the Super League, so it is what it is. But at Wigan, he should go well there. They're a top club, obviously, and I think that being back home with his partner and family, I think that's going to help him a lot. But yeah, it sucks he didn't work in the NRL, but that's okay because I think he'll kill it back in England. I think people will start to realise the real Luke Thompson from there on forward. But those things happen, so it's all right. It's all right. All right, on to the fourth topic now, the second last one of the show. And I did say before that we will tuck into the Melbourne Storm tonight at some point too. And yeah, now we are. And the question has to be raised about the Storm here. It really does, because all year they've been inconsistent. They've lost by 40 to 30 points sometimes on their off day. And when they're good, they can actually score points and look fantastic. But I don't know, bro. There's this inconsistency about the Storm this year. Really, really inconsistent. And it's not like the Storm, obviously. It's not like them with their performances week in, week out. Consistent one week and inconsistent the next. You can't get a read on them, it feels like. And yeah, I think they've went through some changes, like obviously losing the Bromwich brothers, Brandon Smith, Felice Kafusi. That probably hurt them a lot, losing that quality in the front row there. But haven't really replaced them too well. But Champa, in your opinion, are the Storm losing their pride? Like, are the Storm losing what they've been built on for many years, and have they hit their peak? You reckon? Do you think they've hit their peak and they're going down now? What's your thoughts?
Well, look, I think we can all agree they still haven't recovered from the departure of the big three. I don't think they have not ever recovered since all those players leaving. Not only did they leave, also two of their best outside backs, Vunivalu and Adakar, leave the club. Then almost an entire forward pack leaves. The Bromwich brothers, Felice Kafusi, Dal Finucane. Many players leave.
Yeah. They
have an entirely new squad, which on paper is very different from the squad that won the 2020 Grand Final. Entirely different.
Yeah.
Very different from the 2021 Storm, who was touted as one of the best Storm teams in recent memory. What the Storm are doing what's happening with the Storm right now is they're going through a transition. A whole new culture, a whole new sort of face of the club, a whole new just everything. It's a whole new era for them. They still got the players from their. They still got the monsters still there. Coach Craig Bellamy's still there. That they still have many of their players that have recent success. But you look at that Storm side right now. Not a lot of players in that Storm side really have a lot of finals experience. And with some of the signings that they've made and some of the players that they're like, I look at players like Tarek Sims. I look at players like Tom Eisenhuth. I look at players like young Tonga Pia, and they're not players that scream Melbourne Storm standards. Really, they're not. They're talented. Don't get me wrong, but again, players like Josh King. I don't.
Yeah, he's not great.
I don't see what the future looks like for the Melbourne Storm. What they're trying to build. Now they've had some shining lights this season. Will Warbrick, great rookie for them. Nick Meaney has really stepped up in fullback. Harry Grant, the best hooker in the game, so people say. But again, look, it's another season that Pappenhausen misses out. Cameron Munster and Harry Grant really are carrying the side here. They were a really huge reason of their success. Justin Olam looks like to be on the way out of the club. We don't even know why. We really don't even know why. I think the Storm are going through a huge transition, a huge change of culture, a change of attitude, and it's affecting their gameplay. And I think Craig Bellamy. We always go about the classic Bellamy spray. I don't think it's working on this younger generation. A spray isn't what motivates this younger generation. I don't think it is. Like I said, it's a different culture. These players are different from the players we've seen 10 years ago, where a spray would fire them up. It doesn't with these players, and it's shown. Because I guarantee that Bellamy would have sprayed them half time on that Penrith Storm match, and yet they still didn't produce anything. So, like I said, it's a huge transition, new faces at the club. It's a change of culture, and it's affecting their game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, well said. No, well said. I think there's a lot of issues for the Storm that it's hard to identify and it's hard to understand because for so long, like since the early 2000s and since, the last decade, they've been that consistent. It's unbelievable. And, they deserve their credit and they've had their time in the success time, there. But not everything lasts forever. Like all good things don't last forever. And I think the Storm are finally finding out that they are more vulnerable now and they are a team a bit more easier to defeat and a bit more easier to expose. But in saying that, though, the Storm still are a team that is tough in the day and still turns up when they do. But you start to notice those little cracks, and you're starting to notice that in the defense and how they're not always, I guess, there, when they used to be, because they used to pride themselves on defense and being there for their mate and stuff like that. But it seems like they are a bit more disjointed than it seems. And I agree. I think guys like Tuna Papaya, Seve, I guess those sort of players are okay, but they're not like premiership winning type players. Like, Bellamy to choose Seve over Olam, especially, that's a really weird call. That's a really
Seve doesn't even belong in the centre position. I don't even know what he's doing there.
No,
he's not a centre.
Again, back up.
Yeah. Look, these are decisions that I don't know what Bellamy is doing. I don't know if Jason Rolls has any sort of. I don't know if he has any power in making these decisions as well, because it is rumored he's going to take over the Melbourne Storm. But look, they got players there that can sort of lift the club. Look, I back their forwards. I back Kamikamiktha. Nelson Surf-Sommer is great, but then other players like Christian Welsh, he's getting older, he's starting to slow down. And then even their bench, it just doesn't look inspiring. Like, it just doesn't look inspiring. Like I said, they don't look like Melbourne Storm type players. Like the Bromwiches back in the day, like the Fanukins, the Kafusis, and even for the backs, the Vunivalus, the Adokars. These don't look like Melbourne Storm players. They really don't.
No, they've lost their identity, I feel like. I mean, half of it is probably still there, but they've lost half what they've really been building on for the last, decades and forever. So, I guess, like I said, all good things come to an end. I think the Storm are finally experiencing that right now. So, I still like Bellamy. I still think he's a good coach, but I think, to save embarrassment of this team falling down, he probably needs to give up next year, I feel like, in 2024, and let Jason Rolls take over in 2025, I feel like that's what's going to happen. So, I know it's tough, but, I think the Storm are just going to struggle for a bit now, I think. I think they are, in a building phase soon. Not yet, but soon. I think that's what's going to happen. All right. Now, on to the fifth and final topic of the show for tonight and the last one of the year. So, before it comes to the end, it's gone quick, I know. It's gone quick. But we will talk about the Warriors here, and we'll talk about how they are about to re-sign their coach, Andrew Webster. So, Webby, obviously he's been a great coach of the Warriors this year. I think he's their best coach since Ivan Cleary, and I've seen that comparison many times. I think it's a fair comparison as well. But what Webster's achieved for the Warriors this year is absolutely incredible. Like, to take them to a prelim in his first year as coach, and to really coach a side to a prelim from the 4th to 15th the year before, and inherit this team where most players in that squad he didn't even sign. It's more Nathan Brown, more the Warriors recruitment staff that sign these players. But for Webster to come to this team and really build a trust and build like a connection to that team, it's special, and it's something that I guess many have to appreciate for what he's done here. And I'm sure Warriors fans do. I'm sure they all do. I'm sure the NRL fans are probably noticing how good he was. And he was good at Penrith as an assistant, but he's an even better head coach. And I think that's where the Warriors will build through Webster for many years to come. But it's reported it's a new 2-year deal. So, Champa, do you agree with a 2-year deal for Andrew Webster? Would you go a bit more or less, in your opinion?
I think 2-year deal is it's still a great deal for him, and it's a fair deal. We still need to remember that Andrew Webster is still a rookie coach. He's still a new coach, and this is still a new role for him. And you really want to avoid another Seabolt situation, how he had at not only at Brisbane. Well, you just want to avoid another situation like that where you put all your hopes into one coach and he doesn't deliver. But I think a 2-year deal is where you get to see, all right, you've had a fantastic debut season. Let's see how you follow it up. If you're going to back it up with another top 8 finish, and after that season, we'll judge in the final season with us, another top 8 season, and we'll see if we want to re-sign with you or not. Because it's a good way to see the future of the club. Because you don't want to sign him on a 4-year deal and the Warriors only make one finals appearance out of that 4 years.
True.
You really want to just sort of not put all your hopes yet in Webster yet, because again, look, he's had a fantastic season, but we've got to remember it's still his first season. He come out next year and have the old case of second year syndrome, and we see the Warriors finishing 15th. So again, a 2-year deal I think is fair. We get to see how he follows up this amazing season that he's just had. And look, if he puts in another great performance like he has in the next 2 seasons, then yeah, I get sign up for another 2 years, maybe even sign him to 3 years, make him your long-term coach.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. That's it, because I guess it's been a very similar situation. Many coaches sorry for swearing, but Trent Barrett, everyone said that he was a great coach and said that he was a great rookie coach, and even Gus Gould said he was a long-term head coach at Manly and the Bulldogs. So yeah, right, how that work here. So it's gonna be careful. Like, you got to be careful with young coaches. Like, if they start well, then great, because that's a right path and a right step in the right direction for them as rookie coaches. But over time, it's an exhausting period. It really is. So they've got to maintain that sort of confidence and that pressure of constantly going through pre-seasons and other years and stuff like that, and adversity. And I think it really is a waiting game. It's a patient game, like, sort of thing, I think. So yeah, good first year by Webster, taking the Warriors to the top 4 from 15th place. Yep, there's an extension there. But yeah, 2 years is fair enough. I think 2 years is fair. If they went 3 years, I think that's a bit of a stretch, and 4 years is obviously a stretch as well. But the 2 years, I think that works out well. I think that's a fair enough extension to go until 2025. And yeah, because I think if Warriors keep getting better and better, he'll get more extensions and more recognition to stay at the club. But if they did slip like next year, like if they had like a Manly 2022 and 2021 sort of moment where they made finals in top 4 and missed the finals the next year, then yeah, a bit of a concern, I think. And same with Broncos, same with Cowboys this year, second year syndrome. That can happen with big sides and sides that go really well and can drop off the next year. So that's what Webster and the Warriors have to be careful of. But in general, I think Webster's the man to take the Warriors to the promised lands, hopefully one day. But right now, he's the right coach for them. He's the right coach. And I think he's done a great job with the Warriors. And I'm sure the fans are very happy with him as well. And look, full credit to the Warriors and full credit to Webster for the year they've had. Going back home has definitely paid off for them. So I expect them to keep getting better and better over time, for sure. But right there, that wraps up the final podcast for 2023. Done and dusted. So,
wow. Oh man, it's really it.
It's been a ride. It's been a ride, and it's sad. It's ended like this with yourself going, because I will miss you. I will miss having you on the podcast every week, because you are a great co-host and you bring a lot to this show. But the podcast will keep growing and expanding. I'll make sure of that. I've got some new plans for next year. I think we might do something a bit different with this podcast. Still thinking about it, but in terms of what you've produced this year, Champa, like I said, never will forget it. Never will, forget the tribute that you, I guess, the moment you brought to the podcast and stuff like that. Yeah, you deserve a tribute, and that video will be posted on the Instagram now. Can't get it up here sadly, but on the Instagram, if you are following the Instagram, the Ankle Breaker Podcast, please go and check it out if you haven't already. But that's where that tribute video for Champa will be posted. So yeah, go and check it out right after this show. It'll be posted right after this stream is done. But yeah, look, it's been a big ride. It's been a big year. But 3 years into the podcast, it's another one done. So another year gone and another one to go. So I just want to appreciate everyone that's watched the podcast this year. I've had many people jump on the podcast as a special guest and as a guest, and had Champ as co-host all year too. So, but many people have made this podcast get better and better, and I think we'll get better and better next year too. So, thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Champa, for your time on the podcast. Thank you very much.
I just want to say, look, again, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this journey with you on the Ankle Breaker Podcast. It's been an amazing experience. And thank you to all our look, really thank you to our special guests, because I don't think we show them enough appreciation for jumping on and having them do this podcast with us. All of the special guests that jumped on, thank you so much. And again, a big thank you to the audience. You've been probably the biggest reason why we've been this successful. It's because of your support to the channel, your support to the podcast. You guys tuning in every week that we're able to grow. Your donations, your comments, you spreading the podcast. It's what helps us grow. And again, thank you to everyone who's been a part of my journey as a YouTuber. This is going to be the last video I do, and whatever happens in the future happens in the future. But I'm happy to have the small YouTube career I've had. I've loved every bit of it. So.
Yep. Yeah, I guess your connection cut out there a little bit, so it's all good. I still managed to hear a bit of what you said there, so it's all right. But look, all I say is to that is that I
don't think I can hear you, Pranzo. Oh. I don't think we can hear you, Pranzo. Oh man, what a way to send off an Ankle Breaker podcast. Okay, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?